What's happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own Fantasy Football Huddle, presented to you, as always, by DanklyfeBrand and your host, Dallas Clark. That's me. We're going to be getting into the top 24 running backs today, part 2 of which, if you haven't seen part 1, make sure you check the link in the description so you can see running backs 1 through 12, the first and second tier of running back, as well as the beginning of tier 3. We're going to be kicking things off with running back 13, the next running back in our tier 3. Tier 3 is pretty big. So without further ado, let's get into the top 24 running backs and get you those early rankings. So fill up your cup, roll something up, and let's get right into running back number 13, the next running back on tier 3, Rachaad White from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who was one of the best fantasy football running backs last season. You're looking at him with that 330 touches last year, and you're looking in the offseason at him getting that offensive line upgrade, which is huge because they had a bottom 3 run blocking offensive line last year. Speaking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so we had the good offseason that you needed, still has little competition for targets. I like Rachaad White and think he can continue the momentum he started to build last season. Next running back on the list, number 14, is going to be the Buffalo Bills' James Cook. He was one of the most efficient running backs through about 5 to 6 weeks last year. He had over 100 yards. And he's a dynamic running back that gives you kind of everything you need. He had 5.6 yards per touch last season, and he had that 22 touches per game last year in the postseason. So you're looking at him becoming a bigger part of that offense. Now they're looking like they may not pass quite as much, losing some of their main wide receiver targets. So I think James Cook is in for a big year this year and definitely a solid RB2, which is why he's at running back 14. Next running back on the list is going to be one of those running backs that moved in this wild offseason. Number 15 is going to be the Houston Texans' new running back, Joe Mixon. You're looking at him coming in day one, and immediately you're looking at him definitely being the running back 1. We had a lot of hope on Dameon Pierce last year, me in particular, but he got beat out by Devin Singletary by the end of the year last year. Dameon Pierce was really, really extremely disappointing to Houston Texans fans, Dameon Pierce owners, and NFL fans altogether. You're looking at him getting Joe Mixon being a true three down back, getting 15 to 20 touches per game, so he's going to get the attention that you want in an offense that showed they have scoring ability like no other. I really like Joe Mixon and this move to Houston. It's one of the best situations that could have happened for Joe Mixon for sure. So I got him at number 15. Before we get into number 16, I want to make sure I ask you guys, if you like the content, to smash that like button. And if you're new here to the channel, make sure you hit that subscriptions bar down below and the notification bell so you know as soon as content comes out, because now that we're getting into the training camps, we're getting into the OTAs, we're going to start coming out with all the content that you need damn near daily at this point. So make sure you hit that like button and that subscriptions bar. And you can always follow us on socials at the Huddle Chat. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anything you're looking for. Have a conversation with us, whether it's in the comments or on social media. Make sure you hit your boy up. So with that, like I said, let's get right back into number 16, which would be Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints. They drafted no running backs in this offseason. You're looking at them upgrading the offensive line. You're looking at Alvin Kamara last year getting 75 receptions in the passing game, which averages out to about 6 targets per game. And there's not much competition at all on the roster, even in the wide receiver room, besides Chris Olave. So Alvin Kamara is looking at like potentially he's going to get a lot more attention in the passing game as well as the rushing work he's going to get. All that really matters is if the New Orleans Saints offense is going to be better than it was last year, because that's going to be a big factor in the success of Alvin Kamara. Moving on to running back 17 is going to be Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, year 2 was very similar to year 1. He didn't have as great of a year as he did in year 1. He kind of broke out onto the scene in his first year, but he continued to do similar things last year. He was 3rd in broken tackles last year. A lot of people thought Zach Charbonnet was really going to eat into his production, and he ate into it a little bit. But even in the games where Kenneth Walker wasn't healthy, where they both played, Zach Charbonnet never saw double-digit touches. So he's not eating into Kenneth Walker's production that much. It's still Kenneth Walker's backfield, and for that reason, I still think Kenneth Walker is a solid running back number 2. Moving on into running back 18 for you guys is going to be Zamir White from the Las Vegas Raiders. You don't have any competition. There's no longer a J.K. Dobbins or a Josh Jacobs. He started the final 4 games last year with Josh Jacobs being out, and in those final 4 games, he averaged 21 carries and 114 total yards per game and was a top 12 running back throughout the span of missing Josh Jacobs. So I think Zamir White, especially with the offense not seeing much improvement in the passing game, they're going to need to lean on their running. And from the small sample size that we got from Zamir White, I'm confident in putting him right now at a running back 2. Moving on into running back 19, and we're going to be at almost the end of tier 3. Like I told you guys at the beginning, tier 3 is pretty massive. But running back number 19 is going to be Najee Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a quality offseason. You have the upgrade in the O-line and the upgrade in the quarterback. So the offense as a whole is getting a lot better. Even though they had a really rough year last year, you're looking at Najee Harris putting up 1,200 total yards. He was 3rd in breakaway yardage last year. And it's a contract year for Najee Harris, so he has a lot to prove, and he's got money to go out and earn this year. So Najee Harris I'm putting solidly at 19, right above number 20, Ramondre Stevenson. And now I know Ramondre Stevenson, for some people, he might be on your stay away list, but you got to look, he struggled last year. He was running back number 27. He had Ezekiel Elliott stealing touches. They were in a absolutely putrid offense last year, and his season was riddled with injuries. I think a bounce back year, no Ezekiel Elliott, a better offense, a better quarterback. I think this is the year for Ramondre Stevenson to get back on track. That's the end of tier 3. These final 4 running backs will represent tier 4 for me here in my running back list. Starting off with running back 21, David Montgomery, the backup for the Detroit Lions. Now you're looking at David Montgomery. David Montgomery does earn 15 or more touches per game. He had 13 touchdowns last season. I do know Jahmyr Gibbs is become the man. It's Jahmyr Gibbs' backfield, but they were splitting carries almost 50-50 last year, and you're looking at the fact that if Jahmyr Gibbs was to miss any time whatsoever, that David Montgomery would instantly be a top 10 running back. Moving on into running back number 22 will be DeAndre Swift, the new Chicago Bear. It's not necessarily a clean backfield. You still have a ton of opposition. You still have Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson in the backfield, so it's not necessarily DeAndre Swift's backfield, but he had a similar situation in Philly last year. They had almost a running back by committee. But DeAndre Swift is still 25 years old, coming off his healthiest season that he's had in his career, and you're looking at him getting the second most guaranteed money for running backs, especially over this offseason. So you're looking at the amount that they spent on DeAndre Swift. It's kind of similar to what I was saying about David Montgomery last season. The amount of money they spent on DeAndre Swift, he's going to be the running back 1. It's just going to see how it shakes out with this new Chicago Bears offense. Moving on into running back 23, we're going to be looking at Jaylen Warren from Pittsburgh, back up to Najee Harris. You're going to be saying similar things that we said about Najee Harris. You don't have a ton of competition in the wide receiver room. You got the offensive line upgrade with the quality offseason, the overall offense upgraded, and you're looking at the same thing with David Montgomery, that if you do look at Najee Harris missing any time, that at any moment you're looking at a top 10 running back that you drafted in the 3rd or 4th round at running back 23 in Jaylen Warren. Now, my last running back, number 24, this was a tough choice for me, but right now, and this could change very rapidly, right now I got Aaron Jones, the new Minnesota Viking. He had 5.2 yards per touch last year, and we all know Aaron Jones has been perennially a top 15 running back, if not close to it. Now, you're looking at Aaron Jones being older and recovering from injury, and that's what gives me cause to pause on Aaron Jones at the current moment. And you also look at the fact that the backup running back that he has right now is better than the backup running back that he's had. And if you were afraid of A.J. Dillon, you're going to be a little bit more afraid of the situation going on in Minnesota. Now, it does go to show it's some positivity for Aaron Jones that they are going to be having to lean on the run a lot more, not having Kirk Cousins, not having that solidified passing game. I think that they're definitely going to struggle if they don't open up their run game a little bit more, which is where I think Aaron Jones is going to benefit. We just have to have him stay healthy. That's going to do it for my top 24 running backs. We got the quarterbacks, the tight ends, and a lot more information coming up for y'all. So make sure, if you haven't yet, you hit that notifications bell next to that subscriptions bar, and you smash that like button if you like the content. That's going to do it for me today, man. Make sure you keep your chin up and your attitude down. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out. Thank you.